Okay, what's up, everybody? Oh, let's get all situated here, dude. Let's get all situated. I'm going to share this. Facebook. Get this on the next gen group. Get this dialed in first. Get my lighting set up. Okay. All right, we'll get started here in like a minute or two. Give people a chance to actually hop on this thing. $822 members on Next Gen. It's pretty solid. Pretty solid. I know we've increased some of the like security, so people got to actually answer questions, so we're not getting a bunch of spam and bots and stuff like that. It is Monday. It's a crazy Monday, guys. Was it February 2nd? This January just kind of flew by. Maybe it's just me, but let me see. Give people like another minute. Yeah, the last couple Next Gen podcast episodes, I feel like did really well. Had some really solid people on. If you hopped on, just throw something up in the chat. I know it's like middle of the day on a Monday, which is like probably the worst time to go live, but I've got about 30 minutes. 30 minutes before my next business meeting. Just wanted to get on here and chit chat a little bit. Who's on here right now? Let's see. Hey, what's up? Yeah, you know, it's been kind of this craze fest about this guy that was doing WWE with his retics. I guess a bunch of his stuff died. You know what I mean? Like a bunch of his stuff died from the winter storm that came in. and everyone's been hitting me up about it. It's been pretty crazy. So, I mean, it's pretty brutal to watch, like him swinging around his snakes and stuff, and it's unfortunate. I mean, people are just stupid. People are just super stupid. So, um, I was gonna see. I actually sent it over to Darian, the owner of Morph Market. So this guy's name is Sean Hoodrich, and this has been kind of the topic the last 24 hours of this guy taping his snakes colecas shut because he wants to wrestle. What's up, Rob? Thanks for hopping on, man. Um, yeah, it's been kind of the talk of the town. I had a bunch of people send me over screenshots. I guess he has some sort of a GoFundMe nowadays, and it's just people can just be so stupid. I mean, we already have these strict laws already. So anytime a python gets out or pythons are being abused, it's not a good look for us as keepers. And then obviously for those animals, this is animal abuse. So I mean, who knows what's going to actually happen? But I guess a lot of his stuff died from this winter storm. And you just think about it, it's like the guy has how many animals. Give up two or three of those, or not buy them, and get yourself a generator and actually take care of your stuff. I think it's pretty self-explanatory for most people, but there's some crazy situations out there. I mean, when I saw the Coleca being taped shut, that's next level, dude. That's insanity to me. The video was rough, was a rough watch too. But yeah, I sent it over to Darian because I've done some business and stuff with Darian, owner of Morph Market. So I sent it over to him, and he basically said that the guy had been removed. Let me see what Darian said actually. He just texted me back. Yeah, he's like, I believe we got him removed, but I'll make sure and double check and get back to you, is what Darian said. So that's a good step in the right direction. Have you guys seen any of these AI and any of these crazy retic AI videos on like Instagram? They basically are taking Jay from Prehistoric Pets. They're taking his videos and like making these crazy, insane AI videos. And I'm like, I don't think this is a good thing either. I don't think that's a good thing either. Like the stuff people are coming up with from Jay's rage bait videos of his super obese snakes that he's throwing around, or his alligators that he literally just lets fall out of their tanks onto the cement. It's like, dude, I think it's going to get pretty insane. But see, that's the reason why I don't like that kind of content, you know. But I'll have to share a couple of them into the next gen and ask what people's thoughts are, because I've sent a bunch to Rodney and stuff, and I'm like, what do we think about this? Because I obviously it's clearly AI, but it's just selling into that fear factor piece when it comes to these animals, and I hate that. The whole rage bait, clickbait stuff that he does, I'm not a fan. And that's only one of the reasons why I'm not a fan of Jay. But it's he thinks he's educating people, and it's with how he treats his animals and stuff, it's like I don't see real passion there. I mean, he comes off like this trying to be the super passionate like Brian Barczyk character, but the way he actually treats his stuff, like I'm not a fan. He's so rough with his animals, and he just like stresses all those females out that are, they're all curled up on their eggs. Like he just stresses them the hell out. And I'm not a fan of that, because as now as somebody that's a keeper and trying to be a breeder, I'm trying to be a breeder, but someone that's, aspiring to do that, you see these normal videos of these people, and they're able to work with their animals, so they know their animals, and they keep it as stress-free as possible for the female's sake, and then you've got Jay over here that's like making it a show and a circus. So I don't know. I don't know really how I feel about that, but it's it sucks. And people are afraid to like be outspoken about it too, which is unfortunate as well. Um, haven't had those hit your feed. Yeah, like I said, I might have to share a couple of those, Rob, in the next gen group and get people's feedback on them. Uh, they're pretty insane. Fame and fortune, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know his big selling point was world's first forever. Just throwing stuff together, trying to make super this, super that, het this, het that, and you know, um, so some of that stuff I remember 6, 7, 8 years ago. I was watching some of his stuff because it was interesting. It was like, oh, he's going for this new morph or going for this one thing, but little do you know, it's like the waste or the byproduct is like 50, 60 eggs and trying to produce one animal. And I mean, the amount of culling or bad homes that those animals are going to has got to be, I mean, it's got to be astronomical. There's no way he's keeping all those snakes, which is also sad too. But part of that is part of the deal, I guess. But when it comes down to ethical breeding, and I think that's on the breeder. It's like if if you're constantly just going for world's first all the time, I don't know. I've got mixed feelings about culling. There's some people that are super for it. There's some people that are super against it. I'm kind of in the middle, I think, if there is a middle, where it's like, there are instances obviously where animals are not doing well or they're on their way out or whatever. But if you're just constantly doing these large clutches of animals to make one thing and killing the rest of them, it's like, what are we doing? And that's the MO. What I will say, hats off to, what I will say, people may not like him, but Bob Clark, I feel like actually does a pretty good job of moving his animals. And I don't know the inner workings of what that looks like, but Bob works on a kind of a volume basis, and he's probably the only one that does that successfully, in my opinion, when it comes to mainlands. He's very responsive. And people could claim that he crashes the markets, and I think he does, but he also has been doing this for what, 40 years now, 40, 50, going on 50 years now, where he's kind of had the same business model. Now there'll be times I think where he's made a lot more money than other times, and you could question some of his ethics when it comes to stuff popping up in his shop and whatever when it comes to new morphs and stuff. But Bob is very responsive, and he works on a volume basis, and I feel like he moves quite a few animals. So I think he's the only potentially good example when it comes to like that volume breeding. I don't think anybody else does it really well. Because if he didn't do it well, like if he wasn't making money, I don't think he'd be in business for as long as he has been. And like I said, I think he also has the other thing with Bob is I think he has the connections and the relationships overseas where people are buying large constrictors for a premium. So that could be part of it too. Yeah. Last two next gen podcast episodes have done really well. That was great with with Mason, and Paul Lucas and Weston. Those episodes I feel like did really well, and I think they were really fun just to get those guys' perspectives on the large locality stuff. And I think there are going to be kind of the top large locality mainland breeders. There's going to be a few that I think do really well because I think a lot of people are going to phase out, or they're going to have to adapt and pivot into some of these other localities, or dwarf/super dwarf, medium size, smaller locality stuff. But I think those guys have made really solid names for themselves, and I think there's a lot of potential with some of the stuff that they're actually working with, and even those guys aren't producing 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 clutches a year. They're going to do a couple, and I think that's the way to go for pretty much everybody. You know, I think it'd be very, very easy to over leverage yourself. Because I'm even thinking about my own stuff. I'm like, dude, if I did more than 2, maybe 3 clutches this year, like it's going to get absolutely crazy. Most of Bob's stuff is overseas sales. Yeah, I think Jay has some connections too. If that's in the UK, or if that's over in Saudi Arabia. I think a lot of that stuff is going over to Saudi Arabia, if I'm honest with you. From what I've heard through the grapevine for both Jay and Bob, you got some Saudi princes that want to buy a 17, 18-foot retic, and so that's kind of part of their business model too, which once again is fine, and it's working for them. And people have had good and bad experiences with Bob, but I've already shared kind of my experience dealing with Bob on the one animal I have from him. So anyway, it'll be interesting. I'm excited, with what we're trying to do, with what Rodney and I are really trying to do, is on a weekly basis, we really want to build a place where people can come hang out. And I've talked a little bit about this. He has too. But Wednesdays, I think it's going to be Wednesdays at 5:30 Eastern time is, I think, the time we're going to be shooting for, like every week, where he and I are going to be streaming from our channels, I think, together, which there's an option, I think, to do that through the software he has. But then we're going to also allow people to hop on. So I think it'll be really fun. I think it'll be really cool, like just really chill. And I don't think that there's something similar to that out there, really. I know Reach Out still does a live. I'm trying to think who else consistently does kind of a live. I love it. I love hopping on here and going through the chats and seeing what people have to say. I think it's a really good time, and I think it'll just be that much more fun when people are able to show off their stuff on the live, and just make it kind of a really cool hangout spot for people. And I miss that. I miss that a lot, actually, because I used to hang out on Reach Out's lives. Like, that was a highlight of my week back in 2018, 2019, 2020. Like those years, it was just so fun because just Garrett in his basement pulling stuff out of racks and showing off babies, and people were super chatting, and I was super chatting, being like, hey, I want to see this animal or this baby. And even though I wasn't ready to buy, I was like super intrigued with what he had in stock. And so I don't know, I just want to bring that vibe back, where Rodney and I we can share our stuff and have other people pop on, share what they've got going on. Yeah, just make it a good hangout spot, just kind of an extension of the podcast, an extension of the group. So, Rob says, yeah, man, the next gen community has been nothing but great and supportive. It's a good place to network with others who love their snakes. Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely not perfect. We still get some, we get some drama here and there, but it's not so much drama. It's just people calling stuff for what it is now. And it's refreshing, actually. Like, people will still comment and say, oh, this is drama, I'm leaving. And it's like, it's actually refreshing because we're airing stuff out. Like, it's actually good instead of people being afraid to speak their mind because it's Garrett, or if it, or it's somebody else where they had, this information said to them about this or that. It's like, that's how people get educated, and that's how we all learn. And I'm not claiming to be some professional, retic breeder by any means. But I am invested and passionate about other people and other people in the community that have been good to me and supportive, and the friends I've made. And I'll call out the BS when I see it too. Like, it's gotten to that point where I don't want other people to be taken advantage of and buy into misinformation that is just blatantly wrong. Because I think that's just, it's not good. It's not good for us. So Anyway, yeah, no, I'm excited. So it's going to be like the next gen live, I think is what we're going to call it. And, and really give people an opportunity to talk about their animals, talk about their setups, talk about breedings or clutches or babies. And so I think that it's going to be a really good, it's going to be a really cool thing. And people, something that people can really look forward to on a weekly basis instead of just, the random content that we put out, because we're not really even on a schedule for the podcast. I wish we were, but at the same time, I'm glad we're kind of not. We kind of just do it as we feel it because there's not that pressure. Somebody will reach out to us, or we'll be like, hey, we should talk to so and so about this breeding that they're doing, this direction that they're going with stuff, and that keeps it kind of fresh and light versus being like every Friday we have to hop on a podcast and we have to put content out, and then it can kind of become like a job that you hate kind of thing. So we kind of play it by ear, but we do want consistent content coming out. I think that's important. And like I said, we really started the podcast, Rodney and I, because we wanted to give people that don't really have a voice or haven't had a voice in the community to get a spotlight and to be able to share what they're passionate about, what animals they like, some of their practices or best practices that they, use in their homes, their facilities, whatever, and just be able to continue to learn. Because really, I mean, Glenn's book is was solid and great, but everybody does things a little bit differently, and that's okay. I mean, unless you're whatever this guy's name is, I don't even want to register his name. What's his name? This guy that was abusing. Yeah, I don't even want to say his name too much, but Sean Hoodrich. Yeah, unless you're Sean Hoodrich and you're whipping your snakes around in a WWE ring, that's probably what not to do. Oh, Randy's here. Okay, now it's a party. No, I've got about 12 minutes left. So if you guys got any questions or things you want to talk about, I got to take a call at 2. But yeah, we were talking a bunch of shit about this Sean guy that was throwing his snakes around in the WWE ring and had a bunch of his stuff die in a bag because he threw it all in a bag and didn't get a generator for the winter storm that came through, and now he has like some sort of a GoFundMe page. So yeah, it's on Darian's radar already. I mean, I've talked to Darian a little bit, and we'll see where it all goes. But I mean, I mean, people just don't think things through. I mean, they're really, really dumb sometimes. Very low IQ. Very low IQ. But Randy, I was also talking a little bit about the AI stuff with Jay, and I think AI is getting crazier and crazier. But to have a template from Jay with all of his insanity and rage bait clips that he has, it makes it that much easier to make dumb looking stuff with AI. So, yeah, I've been a giant pro wrestling fan my entire life. Never seen anything like this. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, who was it? Was it Jake the Snake? And it was that WWE days or whatever it was, Jake the Snake. I mean, I think there was a snake component with that, but yeah, I had never seen somebody like literally lasso another human being with a retic and like try to choke them out with it like a rope. Like, pretty insane stuff on that front. So, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen to that guy. Like I said, I mean, Kevin Mansfield has been all over social media, sharing it, everything like that. Yeah. Comparing AI to what you've got. Yes, back in the 80s. How is that happening to 2006, 26? Yeah, I've got no idea, Lee, or how that passes. I mean, if you're even just the promoter seeing that, like you gotta know that PETA's coming after you. Like some of these, it's not just the snake community. It's like everybody. Can you imagine them doing that with like a cat or dog, just like slinging a cat around, like hitting people with it? The outrage that would happen. Yeah, people don't think things through. I mean, but yeah, I saw it off of Billy Boa's page. He's super funny. It's like this guy on Facebook that just posts a bunch of memes about what's going on in the reptile community. And I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. But Eric Lee's got some crazy cool stuff cooking. He's got what is this thing? Oh, he didn't repost. I think it's, what is it? Mochino something going on. I think I reposted it actually. Um to the page. Maybe I didn't. Stupid Instagram. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with all that and what else is going on. I mean, I just, I kind of pop in and then I'm like dialed in, and then sometimes I'll go a day or two without. But you seen any more locks, localized swelling? It's interesting because I called Rodney the other night because my Coyote female is like, dude, like, I don't know what's going on with her. Like, she actually has some she shed out, but then she almost like shed. I don't know if she almost had two sheds or she just didn't shed out all the way, but she almost has some weird pigmentation spots on her head. I was kind of worried. I was like, dude, I hope she's not like, there's no health issues. But Rodney said it was probably just because she was rubbing, or maybe she shed out early or whatever. I threw the mail back in. He does his thing every time. I've only seen that one lock, but he'll spur her hardcore and try to do his thing up until like I go to bed, and then usually in the morning they're kind of separated. And then at night again, he'll usually start doing his thing again. So I have not seen them lock up again. He was close last night before bed, but we'll see kind of what happens with that. But no, thanks for checking in. And then my Super Phantom's in shed, so I pulled him out a couple days ago from my head OGS. So I'm going to wait for him to shed out, then I'll throw him back in with my head OGS. And then I have my hypo in with that Super Door from Daniel Solis. And, he's not showing any signs. I don't know if she's ready or not. She might need a little bit more time. He's not showing any signs of breeding, but she is tolerant of him. So they'll cuddle up with each other and they're hanging out. So I just kind of leave them for 3-4 days, and then I'll pull them and try to feed him, and I'll see where she's at too. But yeah, I wish I saw more confirmed locks. She's not in terms of swelling, she's not blown up yet. So she might just need a couple more weeks. I don't know. When are you guys finally going to make Andrew get on the pod? Yeah, dude, I can't. That is the one thing that, I mean, trying to get Andrew on a podcast is mission impossible, man. I mean, I love Andrew. I mean, he's a good dude. And I actually, the next time he does that Peru trip, I definitely want to make it down there, because Eric said it was awesome. Eric said it was pretty epic. But Andrew, I think, is dropping some clutch, or he has a couple clutches that dropped. So I think once those hatch out, Rodney's going to force him to come on to promote his clutch and whatever he's got going on. He's got a bunch of cool stuff hatching, I think, this season too. So let me see. Yeah. But no, thanks for asking. Yeah, I have no idea, dude. Like I said, I'm such a noob. I mean, I'm trying to follow Rodney's instructions and keep it simple. I think all my females are just going to go super late, potentially, or maybe she reabsorbed. Who knows? I'm praying she did. I'm praying she didn't, because I mean, every time I throw that male in right away, he's arching, he's doing his thing. And she's tolerant of him. It's not like she's freaking out or anything, but she is super fiery right now. Like, Coyote female does not even want to be touched. So I'm hoping we're getting dialed in with her timing. But she might even need another shed cycle. Who knows? So, question: do you run a humidifier in your room, being in the mountains and in the middle of winter? I don't, simply because my room actually stays pretty or decently humid. Everything is pretty much sealed off. It's a small office in my basement, and I have a pretty big water bowl in their enclosures. So their actual enclosures stay pretty humid. Um, and honestly, I'd be super scared of mold because everything is literally sealed off if I ran a humidifier in my room. So, um, yeah, thanks, Lee. I appreciate it. I text Rodney anytime I notice anything different at all. Yeah, so do I. I'm like, dude, this is either going the right direction or I feel like we're going backwards now. So, like I said, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, guys. First season for me too, and I don't know if things are happening or if I'm making. Dude, that is like for the next Breeding 101 series for part 4. That is like the one thing I want to start off and lead with. How much of a mind f it is breeding sometimes. Like I swore a month ago she was like swollen. Like I'd stopped kind of feeding her and everything, but she was in shed. She was swollen. She shed out. I see that lock happen, and then it almost looks like she's like back to normal, dude. But it wasn't like a giant ovulation swell, even. Like I feel like I have not gotten to that point yet. Because you'll see that from people. They're like, oh, she's ovulating, she's giant swelling. Like it's very clear and obvious. I have not seen that with any of my animals yet. I have seen them thicken up, but I have not seen that giant ovulation swell from any of my animals yet. So could just still be early. I mean, who knows? Which, to be honest, it's like it's kind of nice because I'm kind of just tinkering around and taking my time. But then on the flip side, it's like, you know, it's going to be late in the season. So, and with Utah and how weird the weather's been, I think for everybody this year. I mean, the last thing I would want is have a bunch of hatchlings and then my next generation of females are ready like early. So yeah, I could still have a bunch of hatchlings and and then I could have maybe 2 or 3 other females that start to cycle late fall or early winter, and then it's like, you know. So if that happens, I'm definitely gonna probably give them all that first season off because it would just be too much. But yeah, and I'm working on some stuff with some other people too. I'm kind of kept under wraps, so we should have some really solid animals to move, even if I don't produce a ton this year. I'm going to try next season and can see the panic incoming. Yeah. Well, the thing is when it comes to breeding, until you actually do it, I feel like it's really hard to tell. I think it really is hard to tell because your brain starts playing these tricks on you. And I work from home most of the time. Like there's times where I travel and whatever. So I'm watching my snakes or looking at them every single day. I think that also makes it tough. Yeah, the giant scale separation. I really think it boils down to the female too, and how many follicles she has. Yeah, I think that's another big thing because I have not seen that either. And like I said, I think my brain's playing tricks on me because my female almost looks like she kind of just looks like normal now. I'm like, gosh dang it, dude. So, the way that I see that is they're either gonna go late and we're gonna hit on them, or they reabsorb, they're not ready, and I need to switch. I need to get most of my stuff on rabbits, and next season is gonna be insanity, which I would be fine with too. Like if next season I had 4 female cycle or something and it was perfect, it wouldn't be ideal because I do want to have some stuff available. I've had a lot of people reach out to me for just like pet stuff. Like they just want like a platinum that stays relatively small, that doesn't get giant like a mainland. And I'm like, I should have some of that if this Coyote thing works out, but they're not going to be astronomically priced either. They're going to be high percentage, but they're going to be, they're going to be more pet stuff versus like high quality stuff. I think they'll still make great pets, especially just for temperament's sake. Like my Coyote female has by far got the best temperament out of all my snakes, like by far. So, I'm pretty confident those babies are going to be awesome, just in terms of their temperament right off the rip. And you can work with them, right? I mean, with hatchlings and stuff, as long as you work with them like every day and mess with them for the first, I don't know, 6 to 12 months. I think they're much more manageable because in the beginning with a lot of my super, super small stuff, hatchling stuff, the first year it was like I was messing with them every day, taking them out, all that kind of stuff. Now I take them out, a few times a week, and they still kind of have that same temperament. They haven't really changed. So that's one thing I would say for anybody that's purchasing is buy hatchlings, man. I know it's a wait, but if you want to have them as like breeders and as like really good pets, like buy them young. Because even at like a year and a half, 2 years old, there's a difference, man. Like with my animals I bought when they were 2 years old, and they were kept in just like a rack and never worked with, like those animals, those two females I have are just, they're difficult, man. Like they're not nasty. Like once I get them out of their enclosures and stuff, they're just kind of flighty, but trying to get them out sometimes is not fun. And they're springy, man. They want to, it doesn't help too. They're out of all my enclosures, they're both at the top. So they're like, I have to stand on a step stool. So I'm like head level with them and they're just springy and they're just striking at me. So yeah, I mean, you can go the fast route. I mean, I'd probably look at it two different ways. If you're wanting to breed and keep, like, you can buy some adults or buy some, semi-adult stuff, juvenile stuff for breeding. And then if you want really good keeping stuff that you can like confidently hand over to people that come over, like buy the hatchling stuff. Yeah, work with them daily. Yeah, it really makes a huge difference. I mean, it makes a huge difference. And those two females have just gotten worse because I think they're, like I said, I think they're cycling, but they're not super fun right now. And I hope they're cycling, which is good. Hormones are raging. So, anyway, no, you guys are awesome though, man. I mean, I really appreciate the chat. I appreciate you guys like popping in. And like I said, I don't really have a schedule for my own personal lives. I just, when I have 30 minutes or whatever, I'll pop on. But like I said, Wednesdays, we're going to have, I think, like dialed into the calendar every Wednesday. Rodney and we're going to try to get that dialed in where essentially it's live on my account and his account at the same time. And then we'll just have like a party, So, and I really enjoy, Rodney's lives too. Those are really fun because we get a bunch of people on there. But awesome, guys. Well, hey, appreciate you for hopping on and looking forward to this season. And like I said, this Wednesday, just mark on your calendars or turn on if you guys haven't already, turn on your notifications, your bell notifications for my account, Rodney's account. I don't know how that works nowadays. I swear YouTube doesn't want people knowing when you go live or post videos anymore. I've had a bunch of people reach out and be like, dude, I don't even see like a notification when you go live. So hit the bell notification. I think you got to mess with your settings a little bit, and then you'll know when we go live and stuff like that. So, I don't mind posting in the next gen group when we do, but if you guys are just hanging out or want to hang out, and I might even look into that same software for my lives so people can pop in, Randy or Lee or Rob or whoever else wants to pop in, we can chat. That'd be really fun too. So, all right, guys, have a great week this week. Go kill it. And I will see you for sure, at least on Wednesday.